Okay, so today's project, 79 shovel head, and the lady who owns it used to belong to her husband's, and her husband said, I want you to learn how to ride it and don't sell it when I die. So she's had it, and she's had it through quite a few different shops, and this bike's been through the ringer. She had a dry primary put on with a belt drive. Well, the belt was soaking in oil. So she didn't know what to do, took it in, had the shops redo it, and they swore up and down that it was a seal. Well, what I did is I hooked up air pressure to the breather line. There's also another breather down here. I've got it plugged off, and that's supposed to be for the crankcase ventilation. This is the vent for the top of the oil bag. This one I think is a return line, and then this guy over here is the feed for the oil bag. Anyway, so I went through everything, made sure what was supposed to be hooked up over there on the oil pump is hooked up, what wasn't. When I went to pull this all off and hooked up the pressure and started spraying it with some water and soap, I didn't get any leaks, so they did a good job. But because I was spraying in this general area, I got it on top of these. Now these aren't the original ones. They had wood screws holding in this little plastic clip, and this little plastic clip was holding in the wires that was coming from the stator. So that most people, well, people who don't know call it like an alternator or generator. It does produce electricity, so we'll leave it at that. You can call it a dynamo, whatever you want. Anyway, so they used wood screws in there. The wood screws were wiggling in there and worked themselves loose. So my fix, tapped those out, and I installed some machine screws in there. Hard to do one-handed while I'm trying to do this on my freaking camera. So you can see machine threads. And there's been a bunch of other work done on this case. People have been in here with die grinders doing all kinds of crazy stuff. I've already spun it over to make sure it's not going to hit the crank inside of there. But after I did that, now I can apply pressure. Spray down this seal, I get nothing. Now from inside of here, underneath the seal spacer, I am getting some stuff. Of course, it's not going to want to do it now because I'm trying to video it. Let's see if I can get it to there. So I was reading online, and what a lot of guys are doing is they are taking high temp RTV and packing it underneath there. Now this is supposed to seal up. When you put the magnet over the top of this, it forces this in, forces that against the fiber that's over there in the crank. Well, what I'm going to do is just pack it full of some RTV and leave it set overnight, harden up, and then I'll start assembling it. And it shouldn't hurt it to sit in there while I'm assembling it, but that should, in theory, seal this thing up. But that'll keep this whole side of the engine from leaking on her primary belt. Now, that's not the only thing that I've had to do. There's been lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of other work because everybody and their brother's been into this bike and jacked it all up. So my buddy told me to check out the handlebars because the controls were all wired up wrong. I've already got in here and rewired all of this stuff. And then I got into the headlight, and there was a bunch of household freaking, twisty freaking electrical connectors in there. So those are all gone now. Now everything has got, solder and shrink wrap. It's all in there the way it's supposed to. There's only one issue that I'm going to change, and that's right here. There's 2 wires going into 1 wire, going out into 3 wires. Well, that is the power for all of the lights on the bike except the headlights. So front turn signals, rear turn signals, and one of those wires, this guy, even comes up and runs the blinker. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove that, drill a hole back here, kind of inconspicuous, put a stud through that's insulated with a fiber washer on it, and then put, little ring connectors on all of those, and tighten it to that. So that way if you got to work on it, it's there and it doesn't look, crappy and have 1 wire on it. I don't like that, but that was just testing it out to make sure it works. Other than that, Like I said, everybody and their brother's been in here, so there's some questionable wiring. You know, the ignition switch was all funky and going all over the place, and you know, they're running wiring right up next to the exhaust, and I just need to reroute a bunch of stuff and make it look right. But supposedly this came out of a professional shop, so I kind of want to say that these guys were you know, just trying to get it out as quick as possible. And then there's stuff like this. They put this in line with the starter motor. That is, I believe, a 30 amp. Yeah, I don't know if you can see it, but that's a 30 amp. So they have a 30 amp thermal breaker in line with the starter. I would say at least 100 amp for a starter, but hey, you know, I'm not the one who did this. I'm just the one who has to fix it. So, but it is what it is. More fun. And that's my my little update for right now. This is what I'm playing with and figuring it out. Talk to you later.